Those words hit me like a sledgehammer to the chest. My wife of 8 years stood in our kitchen, designer suitcase already packed by the door. Her face showed no emotion, no tears, no regret, just cold calculation. I'm Marcus Chen, and I thought I knew the woman I married. For 8 years, we'd worked side by side building our digital marketing consultancy from nothing. Late nights, shared dreams, her hand in mine as we signed our first big client. Apparently, I was wrong about everything. Lisa, what are you talking about? We just landed the Morrison account. Business is booming. I've already spoken to my lawyer. She cut me off with surgical precision. I'm entitled to half the business assets, half the savings, half of everything. My legs felt weak. I gripped the granite countertop we'd picked out together last spring, the same countertop where we'd celebrated our biggest wins with champagne and takeout Chinese food. Why? The word came out as barely a whisper. She adjusted her purse strap. Professional, distant, like I was a client she was firing. I've outgrown this partnership, Marcus. I'm ready for bigger things. The way she said partnership made my skin crawl. Not marriage, not love, partnership. What about us? What about everything we've built? Lisa's laugh was sharp as broken glass. What we built? Marcus, let's be honest. I've been carrying this business for months, my strategies, my client relationships, my vision. That stung because part of it was true. Lisa had always been the face of our company, charismatic, brilliant. She could sell ice to penguins and make them thank her for it. But I was the backbone, the systems, the processes that kept everything running while she dazzled clients. I'll be in touch through my attorney about the asset division. She grabbed her suitcase handle. Oh, and Marcus, I'd start looking for a new office. This lease is in my name. The front door slammed with finality. I stood alone in our kitchen, surrounded by the life we'd built together, wedding photos on the refrigerator, her coffee mug still in the sink from this morning, the smell of her perfume lingering in the air. Everything felt surreal, like watching someone else's nightmare. My phone buzzed, a text from Lisa. Also taking the Morrison account, already called them. They're following me to my new venture. L. My hands started shaking. Morrison was our biggest client, 40% of our revenue, the account that was supposed to secure our future. I sank into a kitchen chair and stared at the message. This wasn't just a divorce. This was a complete dismantling of everything I'd worked for. But something nagged at me. New venture? How long had she been planning this? Over the next 3 days, I lived in a fog. Lisa's lawyer contacted mine with demands that made my head spin. She wanted the business bank accounts, the client list, even our proprietary software systems. She's claiming she developed most of the intellectual property, my lawyer explained over the phone. Do you have documentation proving otherwise? I thought about our early days. Lisa handled sales and strategy. I built the systems, created our methodologies, developed our signature processes. But she was right about one thing. Most of the paperwork had her name on it. I'll see what I can find, I told him. That night, I couldn't sleep. I wandered through our empty house like a ghost. Every room held memories that now felt like lies. My phone rang at midnight, unknown number. Hello? Marcus, this is David Morrison. My stomach dropped. Our biggest client. Former client, apparently. David, hi. Listen, I wanted to call you personally. Lisa reached out about her new company. She's very persuasive. I closed my eyes. I understand. But here's the thing. I've been working with you two for 6 months. Lisa's great at presentations, but you're the one who actually delivers results. You're the one who fixed our conversion problems. You built the systems that tripled our leads. A tiny spark of hope flickered in my chest. I appreciate that, David, but I'm not going anywhere, Marcus. My contract is with your company. Lisa can start fresh somewhere else. After we hung up, I felt something I hadn't experienced in days, a glimmer of fight. maybe this wasn't over. The next morning brought fresh hell. Lisa had cleaned out our joint business account. $200,000 gone. How is this legal? I demanded from my lawyer. Technically, she has equal access to marital assets. We can fight it, but that takes time. Time I didn't have. Payroll was due in a week, office rent, software subscriptions. The business would collapse without operating capital. I was staring at financial ruin. That afternoon, I drove to our office building. Lisa had been right about the lease. Her name was on everything. The security guard looked uncomfortable as he handed me an eviction notice. Sorry, Mr. Chen, orders from the new management company. I packed my personal items into cardboard boxes. 8 years of work reduced to 3 boxes and a dying laptop. As I loaded my car, my phone buzzed with a LinkedIn notification. Lisa had updated her profile. Founder and CEO of Apex Marketing Solutions. My blood ran cold. I clicked through to the company page. She'd stolen everything: our methodology, our case studies, even our tagline, precision marketing that delivers results. The photo showed a sleek new office downtown, professional headshots of Lisa in power suits, client testimonials that looked suspiciously familiar. But something else caught my eye. The services page listed our exact process, the 5-step methodology I'd developed over 3 years of trial and error. She'd copied it word for word. That's when I remembered something buried in my files from 2 years ago. I raced home and tore through my filing cabinet. Old contracts, tax documents, business registrations. There it was, a folder labeled Intellectual Property. Inside, I found the trademark applications I'd filed in 2021, the Chen method, our proprietary 5-step marketing process. Trademark registration number 6,147-293. Registered owner, Marcus Chen. Lisa had been so focused on stealing the business assets, she'd forgotten about the intellectual property, the very foundation of everything she'd taken. I'd trademarked our methodology 2 years ago as protection against competitors. Never imagined I'd need protection from my own wife. My hands trembled as I read through the documentation. This trademark covered the exact process Lisa was advertising on her new website. She was about to learn a very expensive lesson about intellectual property law. The next week crawled by like torture. Lisa's new company launched with a splash. Full-page ads in industry magazines, a launch party at the Ritz-Carlton. She'd hired away 2 of our junior employees, poached 3 more clients. Meanwhile, I was operating out of my garage with a maxed-out credit card and a prayer. But I was also building a case. My intellectual property attorney, Jennifer Walsh, reviewed everything with the intensity of a surgeon. This is textbook trademark infringement, she said, spreading Lisa's marketing materials across her conference table. She's using your registered methodology without permission for commercial gain. What are my options? Jennifer's smile was predatory. We shut her down, completely. How long will that take? With this level of documentation, we can file for an emergency injunction within 48 hours. I thought about Lisa's smug confidence, her assumption that she'd taken everything that mattered. Do it. The next morning, I got a call that changed everything. Marcus, you need to see this. It was Tom Bradley, a former colleague who'd always kept his ear to the ground. What's wrong? Lisa's been spreading rumors about you, telling people you were dead weight in the business, that she did all the real work. My jaw clenched. Let her talk. There's more. She's claiming you stole client files when you left. She's threatening legal action against anyone who works with you. The audacity was breathtaking. She'd stolen everything I'd built, and now she was trying to destroy my reputation too. Tom, can you do me a favor? Name it. Spread the word that something big is coming. Tell people to watch Lisa's company very carefully over the next few days. That afternoon, Jennifer filed our emergency injunction. The court papers were served to Lisa at her fancy new office by a federal marshal. I would have paid money to see her face. My phone rang 20 minutes later, Lisa's number. "You son of a bitch!" Her voice was pure venom. "You think you can intimidate me with legal threats?" "Hello to you too, Lisa. This is harassment, Marcus. I'll countersue for everything you have left." I leaned back in my garage office chair, surrounded by boxes and dreams deferred. "Lisa, did you actually read the papers you were served?" Silence. "Because if you had, you'd know this isn't harassment. It's justice." "What the hell are you talking about?" "The Chen method. Ring a bell? The 5-step process you've plastered all over your website?" More silence. But I could hear her breathing change. "I trademarked that methodology 2 years ago, Lisa. Every step, every component, every word." "That's impossible. I helped develop. You helped refine it. I created it, I documented it, and I protected it legally while you were busy playing CEO." The silence stretched for 30 seconds. "You can't do this." Her voice was smaller now, uncertain. "Actually, I can. And I am. You have 24 hours to remove all references to my trademark process from your marketing materials, website, and client presentations." "Or what?" "Or I sue you for trademark infringement, damages, and theft of intellectual property. The penalties start at triple damages and go up from there." I heard papers rustling in the background. She was probably reading the injunction for the first time. "Marcus, let's be reasonable here. We can work something out." The desperation in her voice was almost satisfying. Almost. "You're right, Lisa. We can work something out. You can license my methodology for a fair market rate." "How much?" "I'd done my homework. Licensing fees for proprietary business processes typically ran 15–20% of gross revenue. 20% of gross revenue, plus a one-time licensing fee of $200,000. $200,000? That's insane. That's exactly what you took from our business account. Funny how numbers work." The call ended with Lisa screaming threats that would probably violate several telecommunications laws. But I wasn't done yet. The next phase of my plan required patience and a little help from my friends. I'd spent 8 years building relationships in our industry, real relationships, not the superficial networking Lisa preferred. Over the next week, I made calls. Lots of calls. "Hey, Marcus, heard about the divorce. Sorry, man." This was Jake Morrison, David's younger brother who ran a competing firm. "Thanks, Jake. Actually, I'm calling about something else. Has Lisa approached you about any kind of partnership or collaboration?" "Funny you should ask. She called yesterday about licensing some marketing methodology, claimed it was revolutionary." I smiled. "Did she mention it was trademarked?" "No, she definitely did not mention that. Jake, I'm going to email you some documents. You might find them interesting." By the end of the week, I'd contacted every major player in our regional market, industry associations, potential clients, competitors. Everyone knew about Lisa's little intellectual property problem. The court hearing was scheduled for the following Tuesday. I arrived early wearing my best suit and carrying a briefcase full of documentation. Lisa showed up with 2 lawyers and an attitude that could freeze hell. "Your Honor," her lead attorney began, "this is clearly a vindictive action by a bitter ex-husband attempting to sabotage his ex-wife's legitimate business venture." Judge Patricia Newman looked unimpressed. She'd been handling intellectual property cases for 20 years. "Counselor, does your client dispute that Mr. Chen holds a valid trademark for the methodology in question?" "Your Honor, my client contributed significantly to the development of this process during their marriage. She should have equal rights." "That's not what I asked." Judge Newman's voice could cut steel. "Does your client dispute the validity of the trademark?" Lisa's lawyer shuffled papers. "No, Your Honor, but then we're here to discuss remedies, not validity." Jennifer Walsh stood up. "Your Honor, the defendant has willfully infringed on my client's registered trademark for commercial gain. She's caused measurable damage to his business and reputation." "What remedies are you seeking?" Immediate cessation of all infringing activities, monetary damages, and injunctive relief preventing future infringement. Judge Newman reviewed the evidence for what felt like an eternity. Lisa kept shooting daggers at me with her eyes. Finally, the judge spoke. The evidence is clear. Ms. Chen has willfully infringed on Mr. Chen's registered trademark. She will immediately cease all use of the infringing methodology. Lisa's face went white. Furthermore, the court awards monetary damages in the amount of $50,000 plus attorney fees. Your Honor, Lisa's lawyer interrupted, my client's business will be devastated without access to this methodology. Judge Newman's expression didn't change. Then perhaps your client should have considered that before stealing someone else's intellectual property. The gavel came down with finality. But the real satisfaction came 3 days later. I was working in my garage office when Tom Bradley called. Marcus, you need to check the industry news. I pulled up Marketing Today's website. The headline made me smile. Apex Marketing Solutions shuts down after trademark dispute. The article was devastating. It detailed Lisa's trademark infringement, the court judgment, and the mass exodus of clients who'd lost confidence in her company. Sources close to the situation report that Apex had built its entire business model around a proprietary methodology that belonged to founder Lisa Chen's ex-husband, the article read. My phone rang, Lisa's number. Marcus, her voice was barely a whisper. Lisa, you destroyed me. I looked around my garage office, boxes still stacked in corners, a folding table serving as my desk, a space heater fighting the autumn chill. No, Lisa, you destroyed yourself. I just protected what was mine. I'm bankrupt, Marcus. The office lease, the employees, the equipment, I can't pay for any of it without clients. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. You had a choice, Lisa. You could have left with dignity, built something new. Instead, you tried to steal everything I'd created. What am I supposed to do now? I thought about that question, really thought about it. Learn from this. Build something that's actually yours next time. Will you consider licensing the methodology to me at a reduced rate? The audacity was stunning. Even in defeat, she was looking for an angle. Lisa, you made your choice when you cleaned out our bank account and tried to destroy my reputation. Live with the consequences. I hung up and sat in the silence of my garage office. 6 months later, I was back on my feet, stronger than before. The David Morrison account had become 3 Morrison accounts as he referred his brothers and cousins. Word spread about my integrity during the divorce proceedings. Turns out people respect someone who fights fair but fights hard. I'd moved into a small but professional office downtown. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. Really mine. My new company, Chen Consulting, was built on a foundation of relationships and trust. No shortcuts, no stolen methodologies, just honest work and proven results. The trademark that had saved my business became my competitive advantage. Other consultants tried to copy my approach, but they couldn't replicate the documented, protected process that took me 3 years to perfect. I licensed it selectively to partners who shared my values. The licensing fees helped fund my growth without compromising my principles. One evening, I was leaving the office when I saw a familiar figure across the street. Lisa, looking older and tired, coming out of a Starbucks in a rumpled business suit. Our eyes met for a moment. She looked like she wanted to say something. Instead, she turned and walked away. I felt no satisfaction in her apparent struggles, no vindictive pleasure, just a quiet certainty that justice had been served. The next morning brought an unexpected call. Mr. Chen, this is Rebecca Walsh from Fortune 500 Dynamics. We're looking for a marketing consultant for a major project. I grabbed a pen. I'd be happy to discuss your needs. Actually, we heard about you through the Morrison brothers. They spoke very highly of your integrity and results. Integrity. That word meant everything. We're particularly interested in your trademarked methodology, the Chen method. We've heard it's revolutionary. I smiled, looking out the window of my office at the city where I'd lost everything and built it back better. Ms. Walsh, I'd be delighted to show you what we can accomplish together. As I scheduled the meeting, I thought about the journey that brought me here, the betrayal that nearly destroyed me, the legal battle that saved my future. Lisa had taught me an invaluable lesson, though she'd never intended to. Sometimes the people closest to you will try to take everything you've built. But if you've been smart enough to protect what's truly yours, they'll discover that theft has consequences. Real consequences. The Chen method wasn't just a marketing process anymore. It was a testament to the power of preparation, the importance of legal protection, and the ultimate triumph of integrity over greed. And it was mine. Completely, legally, irrevocably mine. That evening, I called my lawyer to thank her for her excellent work. Jennifer, I can't express how grateful I am for everything you did. Marcus, I have to ask, did you trademark that methodology because you suspected Lisa might try something like this? I thought about that question. Had I seen this coming, or was I just naturally cautious? Honestly, I trademarked it to protect against competitors. I never imagined I'd need protection from my own wife. Well, your foresight saved your business, and probably your sanity. After we hung up, I opened my laptop and began working on a new project, a comprehensive guide to protecting intellectual property in small businesses. If my experience could help other entrepreneurs avoid the nightmare I'd lived through, then perhaps some good could come from the betrayal. I titled the first chapter, "The Day My Wife Stole My Business and Why She Couldn't Keep It." The irony wasn't lost on me. Lisa's attempt to destroy me had actually made me stronger, smarter, and more successful than I'd ever been. She'd wanted to take everything I'd built. Instead, she'd given me something far more valuable. She'd given me the knowledge that I could lose everything and build it back better, that my skills, my integrity, and my legal protections were more powerful than any betrayal. Most importantly, she'd proven that justice isn't just a concept in law books. Sometimes justice is a trademark registration filed 2 years before you need it, protecting the work you never imagined someone would try to steal. And sometimes, justice is watching the person who tried to destroy you learn that theft has consequences. Real, lasting, expensive consequences. The Chen method had saved my business. But more than that, it had saved my faith in the idea that honest work and smart preparation can overcome even the most devastating betrayal. As I worked late into the night, I realized something profound. Lisa hadn't taken anything from me that actually mattered. She'd just revealed what was truly mine all along.